Hello everyone. Today my topic for presentation is citric acid cycle. So far we discussed about the basic carbohydrate metabolism and where we discussed about the oxidative pathway of glucose molecule. In this, initially we discussed about the glycolysis mechanism. So in the glycolysis mechanism, how the glucose is converted into the pyruvic acid, two molecules of pyruvic acid with the help of 10 reactions that we discussed so far. Now today we are going to discuss about the citric acid cycle, and in the citric acid cycle, uh, how the end products of glycolysis is taking into the citric acid cycle, and what is the fate of this pyruvic acid, and finally what are the different uh, steps which are going to be involved here, we are going to discuss now. Let's going into the today's presentation. The following topics I am going to cover. One is the basic introduction of citric acid cycle, and second one, how the citric acid cycle, before we can better understand why this pyruvate has to be converted into acetyl-CoA. That conversion is very important before we are going into actually looking at the citric acid cycle that we are going to see. And again, the citric acid cycle, and it's a regulatory enzymes and their activators and inhibitors, and finally what is the ampibolic pathway, and we call the citric acid cycle is ampibolic pathway. So how we will call it as ampibolic pathway, and what are the different kinds of the synthetic mechanisms where the citric acid cycle will involve. These things today I am going to discuss. And coming to the introduction, first we should understand how it is to be taking place, because so you should understand that. So this is a one kind of the glucose oxidative mechanism. The glucose, major amount of glucose is coming from the carbohydrates. This carbohydrate during the glycolysis reactions, it can be formed the pyruvate. During this conversion, there will be a release of electrons, and that release of electrons will be stored in NADH form. And this pyruvate is, before it is starting into the citric acid cycle, it has to be converted into acetyl-CoA. The conversion anyway we are going to see in a elaborative manner in the coming slides. And this acetyl-CoA, not only from the glucose, and which is also be coming from the fatty acids, you can see here, and which is also be coming from the amino acids. And this acetyl-CoA will directly enter into the citric acid cycle. After entering into the citric acid cycle, it can be released carbon dioxide and also the electrons. These electrons is taken from the NAD plus and FADH plus, and finally it is reduced, and the reduced energy of the electrons which will be stored in this NADH and FADH2, and these can be further going back, going to the next sequential reaction, that is a respiratory chain, that generally we call electron transport chain, and where exactly the ATP can be synthesized, right? This is to be the basic uh, process of, or the fate of glucose in order to generate the ATP. So far we discussed about the up to the how the pyruvate is formed at the end of glycolysis. Now today we are going to discuss about the conversion, which is very important, and the subsequent reactions. Now we should understand. So why this pyruvate has to convert it into acetyl-CoA? So this is what, why make acetyl-CoA? Because why the pyruvate is not directly involved in the citric acid cycle? Why it is to be converting into acetyl-CoA? This is to be important. We should understand that acetyl-CoA, which serves as a fuel for citric acid cycle, and the pyruvate, which is not directly entering into the acetyl-CoA, if the citric acid cycle it has to be happening, that is with the initial substrate is acetyl-CoA, not pyruvate. So that's what the conversion is important. And second more thing is the addition of coenzyme A to the acetyl group, which will activate the molecule so that it can be released as a CO2 molecule. So that's what the conversion of pyruvate to acetyl-CoA is important. Here you should understand pyruvate is 3-carbon compound, and when during the process it is converting into acetyl-CoA, which is releasing which is releasing one molecule of the CO2, so that this acetyl-CoA will be on two molecule. So this two molecule will enter into the citric acid cycle. Now we will see in detail how this the conversion is taking place. Now this conversion, which can be done by the beautiful enzyme, this particular enzyme we call pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. This pyruvate dehydrogenase complex is a multimeric enzyme. We should understand the monomeric and multimeric enzymes. Multimeric enzymes are nothing but few enzymes come together and will form the major complex structures we call multimeric enzymes. So this pyruvate dehydrogenase is a major enzyme that can take care about the conversion of pyruvate into acetyl-CoA. So if you see the composition of this complex should have the three enzymes in its structure. So we call E1, E2, and E3 enzymes. So E1 is nothing but pyruvate dehydrogenase. E2 is nothing but dihydrolipoyl transacetylase. Third one is dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. These are the three different enzymes that together will form the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex and will have the locking of intermediary products. So this is important because at one hand it is converting, and the same thing, the product which is not releasing outside and that is immediately taking into the next enzyme, and that can convert into the next product, and this can be taking into next enzyme, and only the final product will be released, not the in-between intermediary product. That is the beauty of these multimeric enzymes. If you see the functionality of this pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, it should require 5 cofactors, or we call coenzymes. So one is thiamine pyrophosphate, TPP. Second one is flavin adenine dinucleotide, FAD. Third one is coenzyme A. Fourth one is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, NAD. And the last one is lipoate. These are the 5 different cofactors which will be important for the proper functioning of the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So you should remember that this is nothing but having a combination of 3 enzymes and 5 different cofactors. So we will look into the mechanism how it is to be taking place. So you can see here, you just better understand. I'm taking it a note. Patient, see, this is the pyruvate, right? Where it is coming from? This is coming from the glycolysis. So here we need to understand the glycolysis. The location of the glycolysis is in the cytoplasm of the any cell. So, but if you see, this conversion is taking place in the mitochondrial matrix. This is important. So the pyruvate which is produced in a cytoplasm of cell, that has to be transported into the mitochondrial matrix, where exactly the pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme is present, right? This is, you just imagine that the box is nothing but the mitochondrial matrix site. So here the pyruvate, initially the pyruvate which is to be attached with the TPP, thiamine pyrophosphate, this attachment will leads to the elimination of one carbon molecule, that is CO2. The rest of the molecule, acetyl group which is attached with the TPP, we call hydroxyethyl thiamine pyrophosphate, to which the enzyme is important is pyruvate dehydrogenase. This we call E1, enzyme E1. Then immediately this product will not released, which is immediately taken to the next conversion, where the TPP is to be again regenerated, and in place of TPP it can be attached with the lipomide molecule. So you can see one lipomide molecule is attached in presence of TPP. So TPP will be regenerated, and which is start for taking one more molecule of pyruvate. And the enzyme for this conversion is important is dihydrolipomyl transacetylase. And this molecule is the lipomide is here. The lipomide is oxidized, and which is to be reduced here. The reduced lipomide, during this process, process, this lipomide is taking out, and addition of the coenzyme A can attach to this acetyl group. So we call coenzyme A, acetyl coenzyme A here. So this is the actual substrate for the citric acid cycle, and this reduced lipomide is again oxidized. So if it is oxidizing, mean that can be releasing of electrons. The releasing of electrons will be taken by FAD, and which can convert into FADH2. Here the enzyme is the third enzyme E3, that is dihydrolipomyl dehydrogenase, and this FADH2 is again oxidized and giving the electrons to the NAD plus, and which is reduced to NADH. And this NADH is finally going to the electron transport chain, and that can give the ATPs, and which is, as per the new calculation, which is not the 3 ATPs, only 2.5 ATPs will come from the N for each molecule of NADH, right? This is how the pathway is. The pathway intermediates are locking, and once it is taking the substrate, and finally it can convert into many different substrates, and finally the end product is only released. The end product is here, we call them as, this is acetyl acetyl coenzyme A. This is directly going into the citric acid cycle. How? So this is the mechanism where exactly it can be involved for the conversion of pyruvate to the acetyl CoA. Here you should remember the pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme, which is to be highly conserved enzyme, and if you see the number of these enzyme copies, that E1, E2, E3 enzyme copies will be varies depending on the species. All right, now we will start with the actual citric acid cycle. We are actually going into start with the actual citric acid cycle, because this is to be combination of 3 enzymes. We should understand what are the activators and what are the inhibitors for this particular pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So if you see the activators, definitely this is the activators are like acetyl coenzyme A, because that is the substrate, and NADH, because here the reducing molecule is important in order to generate the oxidized lipomide, and definitely the calcium, magnesium, and insulin. These will act as an activator for this pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme. But if you see the inhibitors, so NAD plus, oxidized NAD plus, coenzyme A, and pyruvate, these will act as an inhibitor for this pyruvate dehydrogenase, so that it can compromise the activity, enzyme activity of PDH, so that the citric acid cycle will be slowing down because of low amount of this acetyl coenzyme A formation, because of low level of this acetyl coenzyme A. And you can see the physiological importance, even the lack of TPP, that is thiamine pyrophosphate, which inhibits the pyruvate dehydrogenase activity. This thiamine pyrophosphate is nothing but which can be coming from the thiamine. So you all know that this is one of the B complex vitamin. If you lack the thiamine, there is a disease that we call beriberi disease, which is because of the thiamine deficiency. If the thiamine deficiency leads to the reducing level of TPP, then that can directly important for the final action of PDH. So this PDH activity can also be inhibited by the heavy metals like arsenic and mercuric ions. Now coming to the citric acid cycle. So here this is what the exact oxidation of the acetyl coenzyme A. So if you see the citric acid cycle that can be called in many different names. Example, Krebs cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, TCA cycle. So whatever the names which is given to this particular pathway, but very famous, we call in the honor of the scientist Krebs, because he is the man who given the sequential reactions of this citric acid cycle. For that he got Nobel Prize. He was awarded a Nobel Prize in medicine and physiology. So if you take the citric acid cycle, essentially involves the oxidation of acetyl CoA to final CO2 and the carbon dioxide and water molecule. So, and one more important thing is 2/3 of total oxygen consumed by the body will be utilized or is to be utilized by this citric acid cycle. This is very important because if you anyway we are going to see the next slide how the reactions are taking place, but the important point you should remember is nowhere the oxygen is directly connecting into the citric acid cycle, because if you see the cycle reactions at anywhere at any point of these enzymatic reactions oxygen is not involving. But why this oxygen is taking place for this operation of citric acid cycle, that anyway we need to address in the coming slide. And this is almost the connecting link for all metabolic pathways that we call ampibolic pathway. That also I'm going to discuss in the coming slides. And the enzymes of TCA cycle are located in mitochondrial matrix. This is important. So the pyruvate, the end of the glycolysis is pyruvate that can be accumulated in the cytoplasm, and this pyruvate is transported into mitochondrial matrix where it is converted into acetyl coenzyme A, and even the citric acid enzymes are also present in mitochondrial matrix where exactly that can be going to the electron transport chain that also be present in the inner mitochondrial matrix, right? So this is what you should remember, that the location of citric acid cycle in the mitochondrial matrix, not in the cytoplasm, but the glycolysis is the cytoplasm. Clear? So that's what we call the glycolysis, which is to be on primitive pathway. Whether the presence of oxygen or absence of oxygen itself, the pathway will activate it. But the citric acid cycle will be operated only in the presence of oxygen. This is aerobic pathway. Now you can see here what are the different steps which are involved in the citric acid cycle. So you just see here the different steps in the total citric acid cycle. 8 steps are to be involved. These 8 steps will be important for making of different kinds of the intermediary products. That anyway now we are going to discuss. You can just see here. First one, formation of citrate and formation of isocitrate. Anyway, these are for a better understanding. I have given a one-word reaction of these total 8 reactions. So I'm starting from this, the initial reaction. So you can see the pyruvate at the end of glycolysis, which will be converted into acetyl-CoA. Right, the pyruvate dehydrogenase. So far we discussed about this mechanism, how it is to be generated. We also call oxidative decarboxylation mechanism. So the pyruvate is converted into the acetyl-CoA by the oxidative decarboxylase mechanism. What oxidative? Because the electrons are released out that can be taken taken into convert into NADH, and decarboxylase means here one molecule of carbon is released as a CO2. So pyruvate is 3 carbon molecule. Finally, the acetyl-CoA is only 2 carbon molecule, where 1 carbon molecule is released as a CO2 in a conversion. So now this actual acetyl-CoA will combine with the oxaloacetate. This acetyl-CoA will combine with the oxaloacetate, and which can form the citrate. So that's what we call citric acid cycle. The initial product of this Krebs cycle is citrate, so we call citric acid cycle. So here the enzyme is important is citrate synthase. Citrate synthase is one of the major regulatory enzyme that is important for the operation of this citric acid cycle. So oxaloacetate is combined with the acetyl-CoA that can be converted into citrate, and this citrate is again converted into isocitrate in presence of aconitase. So you can see in presence of aconitase that can be converted, and this isocitrate will be converted into alpha ketoglutarate. So here the enzyme we call isocitrate dehydrogenase. Isocitrate dehydrogenase, which is also one of the regulatory enzyme, where the isocitrate is converted into alpha ketoglutarate. During this conversion, one molecule of NADH is produced. So this is a reduced molecule. All these reduced molecule will be going to the electron transport chain, where it can release the electrons, and finally that can be important for the formation of ATPs. And this alpha ketoglutarate will be converted into succinyl-CoA in the presence of enzyme alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. Here also one more molecule of NADH is formed, and one thing you should remember here, one CO2 molecule is released. All right. So, which is very clear. You have to be you every time you have to be important, because one CO2 molecule is released here. That is important. And this succinyl coenzyme A is again converted into succinate in the presence of enzyme succinyl coenzyme S synthase or synthetase. So whenever you find the synthetase which is involved in the synthesis reaction. So what kind of the synthesis reaction which is involving? So you can see the synthetic reactions here. The coenzyme A is to be released from the succinyl CoA. So succinate is formed, and here the interestingly the phosphate is attached to the GDP and GTP is formed. So this is very important. The GTP is formed in the citric acid cycle. So this is one of the substrate level phosphorylation. So what is substrate level phosphorylation? Whenever the conversion, the substrate is converted into product, during this condition, if the ATP or GTP is released, or ATP or its equivalent are released, so we call it is substrate level phosphorylation. So your GTP is released in a citric acid cycle instead of ATP, but which is same like an ATP. So this succinate is converted into fumarate, the enzyme dehydrogenase. Here FADH is converted into FADH2. This is also one of the reducing equivalent, and which is going to the electron transport chain. Fumarate is converted to malate in presence of fumarase. This is condensation reaction, and malate dehydrogenase. Finally, it can generate the oxaloacetate, where exactly one more molecule of NADH is produced. So finally, initially the oxaloacetate is utilized, and finally it is to be operated. It is to be regenerated. And not only this, even this pyruvate will also be directly converted into oxaloacetate. The enzyme is pyruvate carboxylase. So pyruvate carboxylase is an enzyme where it can directly convert it into oxaloacetate and making enough amount of oxaloacetate for operation of this citric acid cycle. So here we need to understand the whole thing, which is a very simple thing. You need not to be bothered about much about the reaction and how the carbons are releasing, but you should be important for wherever the NADH and FADH2 is releasing, and what is the substrate level reaction in a citric acid cycle, and where is the decarboxylation is taking place. These are the things which you need to be understand. So if you see the reactions, so far we discussed about the different 8 different type of reactions. Now in this slide particularly I am going to discuss about the energetics, inhibitors and activators. So here we should understand about the energetics. First we are going into the energetics. So energetics, as I discussed, there will be formation of 3 NADH molecule that can be taking place. You can see here, one is here, second one is here, and third one is here. 3 NADH molecules are formed in the citric acid cycle, and 1 FADH2 is formed in the citric acid cycle, and 1 more GTP is formed. So these are the energy rich compounds and which is formed. So if you take NADH, according to the new calculation, NADH, each NADH will give the 2.5 ATPs. So total 1, 2, 3 molecule of NADH is formed. So that is 3 molecule of NADH that can give the 2.5 and 2.5. And 1 FADH molecule will give the 1.5 ATPs, and one directly GTP, which is nothing but equivalent to ATP. So altogether total 10 ATPs is formed for single operation of this cycle. So you should remember that single operation of this cycle will take place about the formation of 10 ATPs. So here this is 2 carbon compound, because the pyruvate which is formed at the end of glycolysis will be 2. So each cycle will be, for a single pyruvate molecule, each cycle will be released 2 carbon molecule, and in order to clear the end of the glycolysis product. So 2 cycle of citric acid cycle will be released, and total 10 ATPs per cycle will be formed. So this is related with the energetics, and you can also see the inhibitors and activators. So before we are going into the inhibitors and activators, we should understand what are the different regulatory steps that can present in the citric acid cycle. One regulatory enzyme that we call enzyme 1, which is citrate synthase, and second regulatory enzyme is the third reaction, isocitrate dehydrogenase, and fourth regulatory enzyme is alpha ketoglutarase. So alpha ketoglutarase. So here reaction 1, 3, 4, these are the important enzymes which will act as a regulatory enzymes. So these regulatory enzymes will decide whether the citric acid cycle has to be operated or not. Clear? And coming to the different kinds of activators and inhibitors, I have given a special box here. For suppose if you see the citrate synthase, so ATP inhibits, ATP act as an inhibitor. So definitely activator is substrate, that is acetyl-CoA. Inhibitor is ATP. Why the ATP is inhibitor? Because if the cell has enough amount of ATP or enough amounts of cellular currency, then there is no need of operating this cycle. So that's what ATP act as an inhibitor for the citric acid cycle. And if you take the second enzyme, that is aconitase, where fluoroacetate will act as an inhibitor for this particular enzyme, aconitase. And if you take, there is an intermediate step here, and NADH, and NADH is inhibited here because the more amount of NADH, there is no oxidizing NAD place is not present. So definitely the cycle will be stopped, and the ATP and ADP will also activate it. And if you take here the fourth one, alpha ketoglutarate, where arsenic, the heavy metal arsenic will act on the alpha ketoglutarate, and it will stop the enzyme functionality. And you can see the next one is malonate. Malonate will also be important for the stopping of malate. This is the conversion of 6,1, the succinate dehydrogenase, because this can be, the malonate will acting as an substrate analog. So on substrate analog, which will be important for the competitive inhibition. On competitive inhibition, if more amount of malonate is present, that can going and binding into the succinate dehydrogenase, and which will be blocking the addition of this fumarase. So, and it is always the regeneration of malate from the regeneration of oxaloacetate is taking place from the malate. So here you need to understand that there are few important regulatory enzymes that can be activated and reduced. That can be activated their action, and they can reduce their action also. So we call inhibitors and activators. And we should be understand that the regulation of TCA cycle can be majorly explained with the 3 different ways. First one, the substrate availability, definitely that is related with the acetyl coenzyme A. And second thing is inhibition of accumulating product. Definitely this comes with the feedback inhibition. If you can see here the ATP is best example for feedback inhibition, because if the ATP is accumulated in a cell, that can go and act negatively to the citrate synthase and will stop the enzyme activity. And the third important thing is allosteric feedback inhibition of the enzymes that catalyze early steps of reaction. The citrate synthase not only acting as a inhibitor from the end product, which is also be regulated in a allosteric feedback inhibition. So what is mean by allosteric inhibition? That anyway, you just go back to enzyme inhibition in my previous video, you can better understand what is mean by allosteric inhibition. So coming to the last content of this session, that is amphibolyc pathway. So the amphibolyc pathway is nothing but which is a very important pathway So far we discussed about the oxidation of glucose, but this pathway not only going to the catabolic manner, because the glucose is finally converted into CO2 and H2O. This we call catabolic nature of citric acid cycle, but this can also be act as an anabolic nature. So if a pathway will have both catabolic and anabolic nature, we call amphibolic pathway. Here the best example is citric acid cycle. You can see here I'm trying to explain all these things. So the pyruvate is acetyl CoA converted, and this is finally enter into the citric acid cycle. Citric acid cycle, various intermediates are acting into various intermediates are uh, important for the biosynthesis of various molecules that now I'm going to discuss here. So you can see here, first one, citrate. This is the first initial product that formed in the citric acid cycle. So the first one, citrate, is converted into the fatty acids and sterols. Whenever the more ATP concentration is present in the cellular level, then the citrate is converted into synthesis of steroids and fatty acids. And one of the intermediary products, that is alpha ketoglutarate, which is converted into glutamate. So the glutamate is important for the formation of purines. So these are one of the one type of the nucleic acid bases. So the glutamate is involved in the conversion of purine. Not only that, which is also be important for the conversion of glutamine, proline, and arginine amino acids. So these can be formed because of alpha ketoglutarate, which is to be one of the intermediate product of this citric acid cycle. And one more intermediate product, that is succinyl CoA, which is to be important for the conversion of porphyrin and heme. So this can be important for the formation of hemoglobin. And you can also see the malate. The malate is sometimes which is to be directly regenerated from the pyruvate. The enzyme is malic enzyme. We call malic enzyme that convert pyruvate into the malate. And if you take the oxaloacetate will be converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. This phosphoenol pyruvate again will have a two fates. One is going upward to form the glucose. This we call gluconeogenesis. Anyway, that pathway I am going to discuss in a coming classes. And this phosphoenol pyruvate is also be important for formation of many number of amino acids like serine, glycine, cysteine, phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. So this can be done with the help of phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase that can convert oxaloacetate into phosphoenol pyruvate. All right. So if you see, these are different kinds of the intermediary products of citric acid cycle. These are going to be involved in a biosynthesis of various kinds of the molecules which are important for the cell. So that's what we call this citric acid cycle is the best example for the amphibolic pathway. Clear? So far we discussed the conversion of the pyruvate to the acetyl coenzyme A, that is with the help of pyruvate dehydrogenase, and we understood the regulatory mechanism, how it is to be converting, and we discussed about the citric acid cycle, the basic 8 reactions, and we also discussed about their energetics, activators, and inhibitors, and finally we discussed the amphibolic nature of this citric acid cycle. Okay, friends. Now the next class we will discuss in one more carbohydrate important cycle. See you. Bye.